Welcome back to the graveyard, everybody. My name is Mads, and today is going to be a Reddit reaction video. I do these once in a while on my channel, but it isn't my typical content. However, the subject of this Reddit post is kind of in line with the content I've been making lately. So I'm sure most of you have noticed that I've kind of gotten back into disability content. It isn't the entirety of my channel, but it's definitely playing a big part in it because, hello, I'm disabled, so I'm going to make disability content. And this Reddit post, it's 2 years old now, but it's still very relevant to a lot of people. It's about a dietary restriction, a food allergy. And while that isn't technically a disability, it is disability adjacent. And the reason that I say it's disability adjacent is because in certain social settings, a food allergy or a dietary restriction can cause you to be rendered unable to participate any longer. That is something that the disabled community has a lot of experience with. There have been several times that if you are someone who is disabled, who uses a wheelchair or crutches, or you are blind or you are deaf, you've called ahead, you've made all the necessary preparations, you've talked to the group that you're going to be traveling with, and everyone seems to think that you are going to have full access to the space until you arrive in the space and realize it's not as accessible as they claimed it was. That's always endlessly upsetting, and it's especially upsetting for children who are disabled because children cannot fully grasp yet why they're being excluded. They can't understand why it is that the other kids all get to participate in an activity, but they can't. And no matter how much you try to explain it to them, if they are especially a lot younger, they're just not going to get it. They're going to think that they're in trouble or that their friends don't like them anymore or that their friends' parents don't like them anymore. And how can you really blame them? Again, this is why I say that a food allergy or some kind of dietary restriction is not a disability, but it's disability adjacent, especially when it comes to children, because unfortunately, Google, while being great for finding a lot of information on a variety of subjects, can sometimes be less than honest when it comes to things like accessibility and food preferences. And there have been numerous times where me, as someone who cannot eat gluten and I cannot eat red meat, have looked at a website for a restaurant or a fast food place, and they claim, oh yeah, we have gluten-free options. Oh yeah, we have options for people who don't eat red meat or don't eat meat at all. Come on by. And then it turns out that all you can eat there is a side of beans or some corn and a salad. And it's like, I wouldn't really call that having choices for someone with a dietary restriction. I'd rather that these places just be honest from the jump and say they don't have anything for us. So without further faffing about, let's get into it. So this story says, am I the asshole for defending my son's decision to not invite his friend to his birthday party over a food allergy? Hi everyone, I won't be going into specifics with regards to names or ages. So my son has a birthday party every year. At this party, he always has food that consists of one of his favorite flavors of cake, such as chocolate, pineapple, etc. This year, he has decided he wants the theme to be strawberry-flavored food. Now, I'm sure most people will agree with me that having birthday parties with a food theme isn't an issue. However, in this case, it is. My son has a friend in his class. This friend has been to every birthday party my son has had. The problem is that this friend has a strawberry allergy, so you can see where the issue would stem from. My son has said he wants to have a strawberry-flavored food theme for his party, and that his friend likely won't be able to come due to his allergy. I told my son if that's what he wants, then he's allowed to do that since it is his birthday. My son told his friend about his plans. According to my son, he made it clear to him that not inviting him wasn't to be malicious, and that the only reason he wasn't invited was due to his food allergy. According to my friend, his mom thinks I'm being an ass by supporting my son's decision to not invite his friend, since she believes that a birthday party needs to be all-inclusive. Am I the asshole in this case? Edit, the child's allergy is not life-threatening. However, if he were to eat a strawberry, he would have to go home, to say the very least. So, unfortunately, in this case, there is some missing information. I understand for privacy reasons why the person posting this did not want to discuss the children's ages. But at the same time, it does make a slight difference in the overall story because if these are like third graders, this kid's going to take it a lot harder than if they're like 15-year-olds. Now, I don't think they are 15-year-olds just because of the way that the OP explained everything. But honestly, the kid in question who was having a birthday is not the asshole, but the parent writing this definitely is. And I want to explain why. So I've seen quite a few people who do Reddit reactions discuss this post because, like I said, it is 2 years old. And overall, they tend to kind of say they think everyone is the asshole. And their reasons for this have been that they think it wasn't right for the father to just continue forward with the son having a strawberry-themed birthday party if he knew that it sounds like they're very close friends. If this friend has been invited to every single birthday party this kid has had, historically speaking, they must be relatively close. So it sucks, and they're close enough that this kid understands that this person has a strawberry allergy and it will make it so they can't participate in the festivities. Now, here's where the first thing I've noticed from other Reddit reactors that is a problem enters in. A lot of them are just like, well, why can't the kid come to the party and just not eat then? The thing is, I think they're all just assuming just the birthday cake is strawberry. That is not what OP expressed. OP said several times in the post that this is a strawberry-themed birthday. That means there could be strawberry-scented items, candles. It could mean the cake is that all of the food at the party is strawberry-centered. And saying that it's not a life-threatening allergy, but he would have to go home, to say the very least, that's still very open-ended. It's good that it won't kill this kid, but with me, for example, with gluten, I used to go to a restaurant that knew of my sensitivity, and they had a new cook working there at the time. They did not make my stuff with gluten that day, but they accidentally touched it against a pan that had been used to make flour tortillas. And immediately I got violently sick in the bathroom and had to go home. And it was really sweet because the manager was actually like finding me on Facebook and trying to make sure I was okay. And I was like, I promise I'm not mad at you. It happens. It's all right. Accidental exposure. Now, I was down for 3 days because of that. I could not work. I could not go anywhere to obtain groceries or anything. I could only lay around and try to recover because of how violently sick I got. Technically, I didn't go to the hospital, maybe should have, but it still incapacitated me and made it so that I wasn't able to participate in day-to-day life for a few days. If that is what this kid goes through, he could potentially end up missing days of school because he was exposed to strawberries. He could end up, for all you know, if he has a strong enough reaction, if he ate cookies and pie and whatever else without realizing strawberry was in these items, he could have ultimately ended up in the ER. It is not for you to dictate how serious someone else's allergic reaction will be. Maybe you've just seen him have a small one because he had one bite, but one bite is not the same as eating, an entire meal made of strawberries. So that is something I don't see a lot of people bringing up when they talk about this story. Now, being that these are clearly minors, it sounds like they're maybe elementary to middle school age kids, by the way everything's written down, the fact that he's having a birthday party like this. I think that the way the parent, OP, chose to handle this is the primary issue here. The kid cannot be expected to understand that there are workarounds here. They're a kid. They were just like, well, this sucks. I really want strawberries and for my whole birthday party to be strawberry themed, but I also know that my friend here, who's gone to every birthday party up to this point, won't be able to come. And the parents' first reaction was, oh yeah, that checks. Let's go tell this kid that for the first time ever, they're not invited to your party. And on top of it, the parent made it the child's responsibility to get a hold of this kid and try to explain to them why. Now, I understand that OP said the kid did everything in his power to explain that It wasn't because they don't like this other kid. It was strictly due to the food allergy and the fact that he wouldn't be able to participate. But how much can a child fully explain that to another child? Like, I'm sure we all remember being really young kids and having disagreements with our friends because we were trying to explain something to them. They misunderstood our meaning and our intention in explaining it to them because we didn't have the tools necessary yet to explain it properly. So there could have been misunderstandings already with a kid informing the other kid of why he wasn't invited. And then there's the issue of, because this is going to be emotional for the second kid, hearing it directly from his friend, how was he not supposed to think the friend just didn't like him anymore? There's never been an issue. He's always been invited. He's always been, in a space where he could participate before at this kid's other birthday parties, and all of a sudden the friend is like, yeah, you're going to be the only one not invited this year, but I promise it's not that I don't like you. You're just, not going to be invited, and I'm not going to do anything to try to accommodate you. Like, I know that if I was a kid hearing that, I'd just be like, I know what my friend is saying, but I don't believe them. I think they just don't like me anymore, and it's going to cause a rift in that friendship. So already, OP's first mistake was having the child be the one who explained this. I think the OP should have sat down with their kid and been like, I understand that you want a strawberry-themed birthday party and your heart is set on this. And it is your birthday, so you should be able to get whatever is going to make you happy. However, I want to make sure you fully understand what the ramifications of that are going to be. This is a close friend of yours. You care about this person and they care about you in return. No matter what your reasoning is, if this friend understands that the reason they're the only one who hasn't been invited to this birthday party is because you are dead set on having a strawberry-themed party, you have to understand they're going to be upset with you and it may damage your friendship. Because even though you can try to explain to the best of your ability that you don't dislike this friend, he's done nothing wrong to you, you still want to hang out with him after the birthday party, maybe the next day even, he still is going to be upset by the fact that you chose to have a party centered around something he cannot participate in. And you have to understand, if the shoe was on the other foot, if it was his birthday party and he centered it around, clowns, and you are very, very afraid of clowns, wouldn't your feelings be kind of hurt by the fact that, well, there's an easy workaround. You could just have a party not centered around clowns and go someplace clown themed after. Why do you have to have a birthday party centered around something I'm scared of so I can't come? Do you understand now, son, why this is going to hurt your friend's feelings? Now that you understand that, it is still ultimately your decision if you want to have a strawberry-themed birthday party or not. Just understand that there's going to be potential problems that arise. Now, after explaining this, if the kid is still like, I get it, but I still really, really want strawberry theme this year, you can say, all right, I understand that. So why don't I, the adult in the situation, call friend's mom or dad, explain to them that you are dead set on having a strawberry-themed birthday party, and we understand that it's going to be difficult for their son to participate in all of the activities then, but that we are more than happy to allow them to bento box for him so he has his own food he can eat. He has his own little slice of cake, or they can bento box for him to have a dinner to participate in, but when it comes to the blowing out the candles and the cake cutting, he can still participate in watching you blow out the candles and singing happy birthday, but we will supply a single slice of cake from the supermarket that he can eat so that he still gets to participate in eating the cake. It's just not the strawberry cake. I don't understand why neither of these scenarios cross this parent's mind. It's weird to me that they just decided the best course of action is have the children try to discuss this with one another and then just don't invite this kid's friend to a birthday party. So I haven't read the comments for this yet, but I have them in front of me and I actually want to see what the original comments thought. Because like I said, more often than not, when I've seen people on YouTube and on TikTok discussing this Reddit story, I tend to disagree a lot with what they say, because a lot of them try to act like the kid that isn't invited to the birthday party is like the problem or something. And like, oh, well, you can't just expect people to be able to deal with your dietary restrictions. That's not the problem here, though. People who have food allergies understand the world cannot necessarily cater to them. You can try to be mindful of common food allergies like peanuts, a common food allergy, and try to have a peanut-free, restaurant or whatever if you know that it's likely someone will come in with that allergy. But we understand that you can't possibly know of every single dietary restriction on the planet. And you can't accommodate every single dietary restriction on the planet. We get that. That isn't the problem here. I'm sure the child and his parents already understand he can't participate in every single thing in the world because of that. And that, trust me, is hard on a child. My little sister in elementary school had a little friend that at age 6 got diagnosed with celiac, and this was in the 90s. There were no gluten-free options. Her mother literally had to make all of her food from scratch. She couldn't even touch anything the other kids were eating. And it was difficult for this kid. Even though everyone did all they could to accommodate her, she didn't understand why she was different. She didn't understand why she couldn't just participate in the pizza party and grab a slice out of the box like all the other kids. That's hard on a child already. And you can't expect that child to just be an adult about it, basically, and be okay with the fact that they're feeling alienated, and rightly so, because they are being alienated. But the adult in the situation, the parent of that kid with the dietary restrictions, they can do all they can to accommodate it, and they can communicate with the other adults of the other kids when it comes to things like birthday parties and summer vacations and stuff, and make sure that there are always options for that kid so they don't feel as alone in it. Like I said before, that never happened in this story. Everyone just put all of the responsibility on the kid, a child with a food restriction. Let's get into some comments. Info. Need information on the severity of the child's allergy. If smelling strawberries could kill him, you're good. If getting some icing on his hands could kill him, you're good. If he actually has to eat strawberries to be at risk, then you should have made an effort to get him some strawberry-free food and invited him. Exactly. Like I said, even if you want to argue that the parent of the child having a birthday party shouldn't have to be held responsible for finding food this kid can eat, they could have still at least reached out to the child with the allergies' parents, have been like, hey, is there anything that you can send him with so he doesn't have his feelings hurt? And then someone else said, this makes the most sense to me. If being near strawberries triggers a life-threatening allergic response, she's all good. If the child has to eat a strawberry to have a reaction, then buy the child something he can eat and let him join the party. And someone else followed that by saying, my daughter is very allergic to dairy. She was invited to a birthday party. I talked to the parent and brought her a small dairy-free cupcake. So then she could participate, but I don't make it the other parent's problem. I also talked to her preschool and asked to be notified before a parent brings any cupcakes or anything so I could bring dairy-free items for my daughter. I do agree that if the child cannot be in the same room as the allergies, it's a different thing. That's why he made that edit where he was like, it's not life-threatening. He has to actually ingest it for anything bad to happen. But still, I love what this person said, because it shows, yes, part of the responsibility is on the parent of the child with the allergy. She got a hold of that child's school and was like, hey, if anyone's going to bring food in, please make sure they give you 24 hours notice so I can bring her something so she can participate. That's amazing. But in this case, being that it was a birthday party and the kid found out, presumably at school by his friends, that he just wasn't invited because of an allergy, this is different. There was no way for his parent to prepare him for this. There was no way for his parent to make sure that he was coming with something of his own so he could participate in the group activity, because no one allowed him that ability. All this could have been solved with a simple phone call to the kid's parents. That's pretty much all the comments. It was a very brief comment section, but I definitely agree with the dairy-free lady to, everything that she said, that parents of children with dietary restrictions understand the burden is on them to make sure that child has options that they can safely eat, but you also need to communicate with those parents and make sure that that child is not alienated from certain activities. I hope that after listening to that, you understand how it's not a disability, but it is disability adjacent, and it can alienate the children in a similar way that being disabled can. If you have a child that is wheelchair bound and their best friend decides they're going to have their birthday party at like an indoor amusement park and none of it is disability accessible apart from getting in the door, you can understand why just not inviting that kid would really hurt them. There's always an option. You can always find a halfway point where the child who has some kind of inability can participate and your kid can still be happy. Explain this stuff to your kids. Explain that it isn't their friend's fault, that they're a little bit different, that some people are just a little bit different. Some people can't eat certain things. Some people can't walk. That there's a variety of different people in the world, and it doesn't make them bad. It doesn't mean that you can't still have a fun birthday party, but that we should always try to do our best to make sure that all of our friends can participate in big life milestones. And to a kid, a birthday party is a huge life milestone. I mean, when you're a child, the most important days of your life are like Christmas and your birthday. So knowing that, again, all of this could have been resolved with a simple phone call to the other kid's parents, it's really sad, honestly. So I was just in the middle of editing this video and something else about it kind of occurred to me. It's the fact that this kind of decision, like the one that the parent in this video made, where they bypass any and all communication with the parent of the child with the food restriction and just decide not to invite this kid even though there's never been an issue with them before or the friendship. This doesn't just alienate disabled children and children with food restrictions due to allergies and stuff. Something else that entered my mind while I was editing is that it also alienates children of different religions. And I thought of this because I was editing the portion you just saw of the video where I was discussing the fact that it's good to have those conversations with your kids where you explain that they are going to come into contact with people who are a little bit different from them, and that doesn't make them bad or wrong. It doesn't make you bad or wrong. People are just different, and that's part of what makes the world as beautiful as it is. And they're potentially also going to come across people who are like Orthodox Jewish in their lives or who are Muslim, and those religions happen to have a long list of food restrictions, things that they cannot physically eat, or it can get them in a lot of trouble. It can damage them very much spiritually. And you don't want to put a child in that kind of position. So that's just something I wanted to add in here really quick while I was in the middle of editing, because I think it's just as important as the whole food allergy side of it. And hopefully this video educated you, if you are the parent of a small child, that they probably are eventually going to reach a point in their life where they go through something similar to this, and there are simple solutions to it. But that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do something that makes you happy today as long as you're causing harm to no one else, and I'll see all of you in the next one.